everyone. My name is Amir Ghaffar. I am part of the Solutions Engineering team at AlertEnterprise. And today I'll be talking to you about how ServiceNow customers are utilizing AlertEnterprise's holistic security platform to manage converged security. Today's focus will be on the healthy and safe return to the workplace using the AlertEnterprise exposure and contact tracing capabilities powering the Now platform. And utilizing these capabilities, you can identify staff that has been potentially exposed to a health risk and how you can simplify and automate location access accordingly. At AlertEnterprise, holistic security is achieved by following the core principles of prevention, detection, and mitigation. And this slide illustrates the various solutions we have across those segments. We are able to converge IT, OT, and physical security and truly bridge those security silos to achieve three-dimensional security or comprehensive security. With a powerful and robust integration framework, we have created deep hooks into over 200 systems to automate and ensure compliant access across multiple different types of systems across a customer landscape. AlertEnterprise has over 10 years of expertise in the physical badge and access management space, so we are bringing all that depth and breadth of knowledge and experience to the Now platform. The AE exposure tracking solution that we'll be talking about today has two main components. The first being emergency exposure management. This function allows you to identify members of the workforce that may have been exposed to a health risk. The second component is the health screening app or health survey app, where after collecting health survey information, the AlertEnterprise solution can automatically activate or deactivate building or location access. What I'll show you is how users can use these certified apps in ServiceNow, and you don't have to write any custom code or programming to manage automated location access based on the results of the input that a user provides. You don't need to log into the physical access control console for daily access-related tasks either. So what this means is you don't need any additional user licenses for those access control systems, and those credentials can't be misused by third parties. In the live demo, what I'll show you is where we'll walk through the functions that I mentioned, including generating an exposure tracking report, and I'll also simulate a survey completion with significant risk that will automatically deactivate an employee badge. This app that I'll be using, you can find this in the ServiceNow store. You can simply search for AlertEnterprise and you'll see the AE exposure tracing app. With that said, we'll now jump into the demo. So I'm connected to the Now app store, and based on the privilege level I have with my login, because this is a role-based access control system, you will have different capabilities, different abilities to search and access different apps. So I'll be looking at two apps in here that we talked about, or two components. One will be that emergency exposure management. The other will be employee health screening. While I have saved them in my favorites, you can simply go to the search navigator and look these up and easily find them. So I'll search for emergency exposure management, and as you can see, I have several functions available. And again, if I have the entitlement in the system, then I'll have access to these. So depending on the role of the individual that's logged in, they may have access to some part or all of this. The scenario that I want to talk to you about is if someone's been coming into work regularly, they've been screening on site in the lobby, they've been clearing that screening every day, but all of a sudden they call in and they say they are no longer feeling well. They have COVID symptoms or some health-related symptoms, and you want to now be able to determine where they have been in the last X number of days and how many people they may have come into contact with. This is particularly important for any regulatory mandates such as the California Assembly Bill 685, which mandates or requires employers to be able to identify those individuals that are potentially exposed and then be able to inform them of such exposure. So let me show you how customers are utilizing the power of the AlertEnterprise intelligence around contact tracing, but doing it with ServiceNow. So I can create a new exposure management event, and given the opportunity to select different tracking or tracing systems. If you have physical access control, badge management systems, or any other systems which provide input about a person's activity, movements, and location within a facility, we can pull that data in, we can absorb it, and be able to perform some function on this. So I'll select the AlertEnterprise's badge information system as my tracing source. I'll specify a time frame. As we know, let's say a COVID incubation period is approximately 2 weeks. So I'll go backwards and I'll search for 2 weeks worth of past data. And my catalyst, or my patient zero in this case, I can identify the person who had called in. Let's say it's Betty. We can simply save this information. And now we want to run that diagnostic. We want to pull that information. So I clicked on Run Diagnostics. And now what's really happening is that integration between ServiceNow and the AlertEnterprise platform that has been engaged. ServiceNow platform has made a call out to the AlertEnterprise platform in the back end, and the analytics, the contact tracing, all of that number crunching is happening. What AlertEnterprise is doing is looking through that tracing system, recognizing this individual, and correlating their access, their swipes, their recorded access entries and exits with those of all the other people during the same time frame. And ultimately what that will result in is you being able to have this correlated data, this cross-reference data, and you'll have an entire list of everyone who has come into contact or been co-located with this person during this provided time frame. So once this diagnostic is run, you'll see that there's been a request initiated, and you can click here to view the status. We also know the diagnostic number ends in 1023, or you can go to your diagnostic jobs and look up the same information. So depending on the amount of data you have, that may take a few seconds to process. And as you can see, this shows that this has been successfully processed. So let's open up this diagnostic data and see what the results look like. At the top, we have the same information that we had entered, the time period, the tracing system, and the individual who had called in sick and demonstrated a health risk. At the bottom, what you're going to see is an entire report of all the impacted users. And again, these are the users that have either come into contact with or were co-located with Betty at the same time that she was in the facility. So this is how easy it is to be able to get this important information that previously was done manually by looking through multiple systems, reconciling manually, and possibly missing a lot of data or things slipping through the cracks. In this manner, you have all this information at your fingertips very easily by interfacing with a simple application in ServiceNow, and then benefiting from the tremendous power and value of the AlertEnterprise capabilities underneath. Once you have this information, any of your ServiceNow customers can utilize this data to then notify those individuals, ask them to complete a health survey, and also be able to enable, disable access accordingly. So that's one portion that I had mentioned during the slides. The second component was around being able to enable, disable access after a survey completion. So let's look at that next. So the second app that I had mentioned was around employee health screening. Let's say you want to request re-entry, and as part of your re-entry, the requirement is to be able to complete a health survey. Now, for demo purposes, this is a very simple form, but this can have any number of questions, any type of information that you want to request from an individual. I'll operate in the capacity of a person named Charles, and I am requesting access to the facility, or I've arrived on site and I'm interfacing with some lobby personnel or a lobby ambassador. And a lot of customers are capturing temperature lately, so I'll record my temperature. I have my protective equipment, but if my temperature is above a particular threshold, or if I've answered any of these questions that push me beyond the threshold of being safe to enter, then the system will automatically recognize that and disable my access. Now, what's happening here as I submit this survey is, again, that communication is happening to the AlertEnterprise backend, and with the depth and breadth of knowledge that AlertEnterprise has, the integration framework, the hooks into these downstream physical access control systems and others, we're able to immediately take that information, and based on your rules, based on your policies, we're able to enforce that compliance, and we're able to immediately provision, or in this case, deprovision access to that downstream system, and that access is disabled. You can't circumvent the process. You can't worry about somebody removing the wrong type of access. The system manages all the clearances, the access levels, and automatically is able to perform these functions. Similarly, if somebody were coming in daily and they were completing the survey and they weren't posing any health risk and they were not crossing any thresholds of risk, then they would be allowed access, allowed entry. So as people are coming into the workplace every day, as they do that on-site screening, once they submit that information, the system, again, in real time, interfaces with the back-end physical access control system and is able to provide that access. From a user perspective, it's a tremendously simple, straightforward, and intuitive user experience, very simplified and streamlined. And you don't have to interface with multiple systems. You don't have to worry about giving access to additional systems, whether they're elevated access, and then you could fat finger something or accidentally grant access to someone that you don't intend to. And all of this is done, of course, through the Now platform, but powered by the capabilities and the underlying expertise and the value that AlertEnterprise provides. So I hope this short video has given you a good insight into how AlertEnterprise is helping customers achieve that healthy and safe return to work utilizing the ServiceNow platform that people are familiar with. If you have any questions, please contact us at info@alertenterprise.com. Thank you for your time. I hope you've enjoyed this small demonstration.